I'm Jack Nichols and welcome to
You're crazy! He's going to break Hastings' world title.
Oh, he's done it! And look at these two go! Nicpon is going to do it! His first victory!
The World Championship is done.
What a race it's been!
Hello and welcome to Brazil for the 9th and final round of the 2023 Formula SimRacing Academy Championship, brought to you in partnership with VCO eSports. 2 weeks ago at the Japanese Grand Prix, Thomas Smith's 5-in-a-row winning streak was broken when he spun into the pit wall and collected Istvan single. Instead, Royal Blue's Peter Knapp took his first Academy victory, narrowly beating Valle's Dan Ove Brandfom and Super Venturi's Scott Flack. My name is Edward Hunter, and alongside me for the final time this season is Jessica Ball. So Jess, with both championships wrapped up in favour of Smith and Super Venturi, the focus now shifts to the battle for second between Giuseppe Saracino, Single, Matthias Harvig and Brandfom. They've all been on the podium and fought for wins throughout the season, but which of those four has impressed you the most this season?
Well, looking at previous form, obviously Saracino started off really well. Single had some great second places, but it was really Matthias Harvig that's picked up the form as of late with his podium in Belgium and also his some great point finishes in Monza and Suzuka as well. But Smith currently wins the championship, but the battle is still going strong between second, third and fourth. But we got some bad news about one of our contenders for second place in the championship.
We certainly do, because the man in second, Giuseppe Saracino, he's been ruled out with issues out of his control. I believe he's having some technical issues with his machinery, so he won't be able to take part. So now, big opportunity for the likes of Harvig and Single, and maybe even Dan Brandfom to get themselves into the top three in the standings. But they're going to have to go some, because none of them are on pole. It is the second time in a row, Brazil, we've just had qualifying finish, Jess, and it is Alessandro Maggio that's starting on pole position.
Yes, Maggio, who has pretty much got in the wars last time out in Suzuka, unfortunately. He ended up getting an 8th position penalty, so he only ended up finishing 17th in the last race as well. So I think he's got to redeem himself. We saw his form in Monza where he produced a brilliant 3rd place, but apart from that, as well as his 2nd, 7th in Bahrain, he wasn't really showing his form. But maybe in the final race he can show us what he's made of as well. And a few people also benefited from a few position changes as well, with Andreski got a 2-place position penalty. He originally finished 4th, but he ended up finishing 6th on that particular day. But yeah, unfortunate for those guys, but benefited quite a few drivers who you don't necessarily see fighting up front, including Mateusz Dabrowski, who ended up finishing 5th in the end. He's currently 14th in the championship. Probably wasn't expecting that after his best result before that was P8 in Bahrain. So yeah, that must be a welcome surprise for the man currently 14th in the standings.
Yeah, and usually I completely ignore this in the broadcast, but I've just noticed in the chat somebody has put up who will win the final race, and there are 4 options: Smith, Single, Harvig, and our pole sitter Maggio. Of course, Thomas Smith is actually going to be starting from well down the field, 20th position, I believe, Jess, which is going to be quite fascinating indeed to see if he can redeem himself from Suzuka. So him and Maggio are both looking to redeem themselves from opposite ends of the grid, and it'll be interesting to see Smith put on an overtaking show today with some of the backmarkers he's starting around.
Yeah, and it's a track where you can overtake. It was named after Carlos Pache, of course. It was originally 7.960 kilometres. It used to be having 26 turns, which I can't believe it actually had that, to be honest. But there was a crash back in the 70s, so it had to be reduced, obviously, the 4.309 kilometres circuit that we know today. Obviously, we know the one that we know is Interlagos, but I used to race in another track which I can't pronounce, and I'm going to try and avoid pronouncing it on the stream, so otherwise it could be Brazilians on the stream that absolutely hate me. But yeah, it's held many great races in our time, including Ayrton Senna winning from a broken gearbox, I remember, one year in 1991 as well. And who can remember the 2003 race where there was absolute chaos in the rain. Obviously no rain here today, luckily, but yeah, we could see some fun in this finale, especially when there's some drivers who don't have anything to fight for.
Yeah, speaking of fighting for things though, Jess, we've also got the Teams Championship. Obviously, Super Venturi 62 points ahead of Valet, so as we predicted, I was actually quite luckily saved by Maggio's penalty, which meant that I sort of slightly prematurely called Super Venturi Teams Champions at the end of the broadcast of Suzuka, and then subsequently they became Teams Champions. So they are now officially Teams Champions, despite me slightly jumping the gun by one penalty. But now Valet on 226 points, they are 11 ahead of Grand Effect, our 2021 Academy Champions. Valet are the previous champions from 2022. Super Venturi are our new champions. Then we've got Royal Blue, who are in 4th, just 8 points behind Grand Effect, so 207 to 226. So any of those three could take the runners-up spot in the team's table. And let's also not forget there's a close battle between Hyperion and Racing Room for 6th, and Racing Room are all relying on Matthias Harvig's 121 points. He's only 2 behind the 2 Hyperion drivers.
Yes, and I really do like that there is a battle for second both in the Team Championship and the Drivers' Championship, because it does really set them apart from quite a few other drivers. And if there's some people that are going to be in the Academy next year, it's like, hang on, what am I going to do to stand myself up for the rest of the crowd? What am I going to do to win the Drivers' Championship next season? And it won't be long away, so they just got to have some fun tonight. Obviously, even this afternoon, it's not even quite even yet where I am, but there we go. But yeah, still a lot to fight for. Anything can happen. And there's been a few predictions in chat on what the whole time in Frozen World are going to be earlier on today. The pros are, of course, on at half 1. World is at half 6, I believe. So 3 races in FSR today. It's going to be electric.
I'm hearing a few comments that our sound the speech is very quiet, I think is the word that I'm hearing from some people. So I'll try and turn myself up a little bit. It's probably me that's quiet. You sound fine on my end, Jess. So
You sound fine on my end, so
I'll
yeah.
just be louder and more authoritative, but not too much to drown you out. But anyway, warm-up is over, and I believe we are a few moments away from seeing the starting grid assembled, so it's going to be really exciting to see what kind of start Maggio can make from pole position with a Single and a Harvig not far behind him. All those three are going to, obviously Maggio, once again the focus is going to be on getting Valet up to second in the maintaining that second, rather I should say, in the Teams Championship ahead of Grand Effect. So I think we're going to see a great Single Maggio battle today. And Single, I think, got very, very close to winning in Suzuka. He's had 3 non-scores in a row, but I think Suzuka, he was back on form, so that's a little bit unfortunate that his championship, having started off so well, missed a race and then had some really, really bad luck in the last 2 rounds. But I think Single, I think, is one of the standout drivers for me this season, when you overlook Smith, who of course has been sublime for most of it.
Yeah, I think without the DNFs he had towards the end of this season, I think he definitely would have been in the championship fight. And don't forget, of course, his winning in Spain, which was absolutely amazing. And of course, his 4 podiums in a row. We thought he was going to be challenging Smith for the title, but things could happen, and sometimes things could happen that can lose your momentum a little bit. But I know Single is going to come back fighting next season for the Drivers' Championship, or even going to pro. It'll be interesting to see what size these drivers go on today. I think we are going to see, a lot more hards than mediums, but I think we'll see people near the front go to the medium tires, I think. But we'll obviously have to wait and see.
Yep, here we go. So Maggio now leads the field away on the formation lap then. Let's go through the grid order. The front row is occupied by Alessandro Maggio and Istvan Single, with Matthias Harvig and Scott Flack taking up the second row behind them. Maggio, his 2nd pole in a row this season. Peter Knapp, our winner last time at Suzuka, will start on the 3rd row ahead of his sister team Grisic. Luke Sack in the Build Sim RBR Evo. Then it is Romulo Silviera and Dano Brandtholm on row 4. Andrzej Borotowski leads row 5 ahead of Lucas Viscott, who is ahead of his teammate Nando Marsa and Thomas Andrim Harizoa, who take up row 5. Row 6 is occupied by Roy Seifert, the Soul Sim Spark, with Samuel Ivanov in the Netrex alongside him. Then on row 7, it's Jared Batala and Sophie Jones in the Valet. Row 8, it's Perseus Miram and Mihailo Vincentovic in the Loser Racing Car at 17th and 18th. Then on row 9, it's Dylan Allen and Thomas Smith. World champion of 2023. Final driver in the grid in 21st place is, of course, Daniil Miganov, who himself seems to be trying to put in a last to first challenge. He's sort of beaten Smith to it here.
At least there's two drivers going for last to first. I like this as well. We probably expect them to blast through the field then, shall we? But I'm excited. Smith is usually not near the back, so I'm excited, really, to see what he's made of, because it could be potentially his last race in the academy before he moves up to pro. And for those of you that didn't watch pro, he had a really good result in pro in Suzuka, because he got well, pretty much was a reserve on that day as well, just after academy, and he finished sixth, I believe. So really great result
on the road, and he got promoted to fifth because Tom Aldermig had missed the final chicane. But Tom won't want me to remind him of that.
No, he doesn't. But yeah, a great result for him, and that should really put him in good stead when he joins the big boys next season.
Look at that special livery on Scott Flack's Super Venture as well. The blue replacement. Well, looks like a brilliant silver there. Although it might be my eyes playing massive tricks on me in this 40-degree heat that we're seeing in Brazil. But as you say, it looks like the tire choices are going to finalize. But maybe Maggio, the only one on the mediums, everyone else on the hards. At least it looks like at present moment. Anyway, as the last car at the back, Daniil Miganov slots in. We get ready for the lights to turn on. The engines start to smoke as they get raring to go here at Interlagos. It's a long hold indeed, Jess. I wonder what the hold-up is here. Oh, several engines starting to smoke now. This is where the tension really builds. And the... oh, here we go. The lights out immediately then. And it is a good getaway for Maggio. Single is under attack from Matthias Harvig, who tries to go around the outside into turn 1. Also have a look at Peter Knaps attacking Scott Flack and getting through into 4th position there. Beautiful start from our Suzuka winner, looking to carry through that form here. But it's Maggio that's made a clean breakaway. And now here comes Scott Flack fighting back, as in the background, that looks like Viscott fighting with Silviera and having to back out of the move there. So it's all very hectic in these first few corners, Jess.
I saw someone actually going into the pit lane, so I think he didn't want to be on the grid, it looks like. I wonder if it was Thomas Smith who wanted to go in the pit lane.
It looks like Boratowski and Sophie Jones, actually.
Right, so they didn't press drive or something like that. That is something that I think it's easily forgotten, that you can't just wait and not press a button. In rFactor, you have to press a button, as someone is trying to go and move down the inside there as well. One of the most technical parts of the circuit. He's coming up to 10, 12 and 13 now, up the hill in towards Jungsao. A bit of smoke coming out almost at the back of the Super Venturi car, heading towards the final corner of turn 14, heading towards turn 15 now, getting the slipstream. The engine doesn't look happy for some of the teams, so hopefully it's all right.
That's Thomas Smith.
That is Smith, but Maggio is on the mediums, the only ones in the leader to do so. But you can see, that was a late move almost.
And that was on Brandfarm.
That was Branham trying to get past. Smith was last, by the way, and he's up to 11th. And we've got 3 DNFs, unfortunately. As here comes Miganov trying to get past Branham for P12, which 12. He does. Nicely done.
Yeah, and interestingly, Smith went for the hard tires. Miganov is on the mediums as Silviera, holding back Samuel Ivanov, who's another driver on the mediums, desperately trying to fight him. He's got Lucas Viscott and Nando Massa, the Grand Effect duo, all over the back of him as well. But look up front, though. Maggio's starting to make good use of these mediums to pull a small gap to Istvan Single. But this is going to start to play against him when the mediums start fading at the end of his stint. This is sort of a rerun of Suzuka, except Thomas Smith is not in the picture up front between Maggio and Single. So it'd be interesting to see what the strategy is here from Valle, whether the extra sub is going to help them at the end, whether he can catch Single, who I think is probably going to try and do as few stops as possible in this race, having started on the hards.
Yeah, because it can easily be a one-stop for some of these guys, but we have seen in Suzuka where it's quite technical, where we've seen a two-stop, as there was some close battles in the background as well, as someone's almost been caught in an accident. There's side-by-side action going on in the mid-pack, getting towards turn number 14 of Largo. They kept on the road. Nicely done. That is Peter Knapp who's had some great results as of late. He's up into 5th place at the moment, and he's also biting Scott Flack for 4th place, and he's also got Mario Subiera, Ivanov right behind him, Biscott as well. It's all a huge train that is about to evolve, which we hope stays as it is, because we get to have some nice battles for some drivers. They don't really want to be on that train. Maggio, though, is pulling off a great gap, 1.8 seconds, but I know Single, like you were saying, I think it's going to be patient at this stage, because he knows the tyres will come to him eventually. And look at the gap he's already had, because the camera was trying hard to keep up with him.
Yes, exactly. Has to zoom really, really fast. That's how quick Maggio is being at the moment. 1:11.9. He sets a 1:12.2. Not quite as quickly this occasion, but still 6/10 quicker than Single at the moment. So while he's got the mediums, he absolutely needs to make the gap as big as he can. Meanwhile, here is the fight just outside the top 10. We've got Smit, who's gotten in front of Luxak. Miganov has followed him through as well. And now Brandfarm is starting to get actual attacks off. So we've got the trio of Smit, Miganov, and Brandfarm picking them off one by one as they sneak their way into the top 10.
Yes, that was, I think, Viscott, who almost got into the gravel trap at turn number 4. So they make their way towards 5 and 6 now as well. There's some corners which you like to call kinks, as we got Ivanov almost going off the track once again, and you got to try and avoid that curb to your left there, because otherwise there could be issues as he goes up the hill once again in the ground effect car. And I think there's going to be moments where Ivanov's got to get the move done now, because Ivanov in 7th, he's on the mediums, where everyone else around him is on the hard tyres. Viscott is going to be like, you know what, you're not going to get past many cars, I'm going to try and get past you. So it's kind of like a rivalry between the two of them as well. There's only about 4 drivers in the field starting on the medium compound tyres. We got Miganov as well, we got Vizenchik, who is also on the mediums, and a few people also on the mediums, but unfortunately they retired. So something must have happened out of our control there.
Yeah. Miganov has actually slipstreamed his way back past Thomas Smit here, so that is very impressive, of course, making good use of those mediums. We know exactly how quick Smit is, as Luxak now finds himself overtaken by Brandfarm, and now Viscott has finally gotten through on Ivanov in the middle sector here.
Yeah, it looks like it at the moment, and we are seeing some personal bests from some of these guys, especially from Harvig at the moment, 1:12.8, about a tenth slower than Zingle, so I wonder if Harvig's going to challenge for and if not, maybe for the win. But the replay, I assume, will be of the start line. No, but it's not the start line. I believe it's Viscott who's trying to go for the move in towards turn number 4 there.
Just round the outside of him. Wow.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of confidence to pull that off, and I think that was what he was trying to do the previous lap when we saw him go wide there at Subito de Largo. But yeah, there we go. Uphill he goes back into the technical section then. And this is going to be as they go through into the middle sector once more. And Miganov, here we go. 3 wide over the straight. Ivanov goes up the inside again of Visk. Is that Visk? No, that must be Marsa he's fighting with. And Ivanov, Miganov, Marsa, Smit, and Brandfarm all just congregating together out of the center S here. And again, as they go on the long run into Subito de Largo, it's going to be Smit on the inside of Daniel Miganov, but then backing out sensibly there. So it's getting very, very hectic here. It's the mediums really desperate to use up the best of life of their tires while they still got them.
There's a bit of sparks flying from some of the guys as well, so they're very keen to get the move done. They don't want to stick behind them that much longer, especially that a track that is so much fun like this, where you can go side by side for a very long time. And I have to say that the most tricky part of the circuit is heading towards turn 10 due to the hard braking and sharp apex before you head to the final sector. And also Ferradura as well could be quite tricky after you pass turn 5 and heading towards turn 6. But they're heading towards the final sector now, and I think we could see some moves done ASAP from the light of Miganov as he tries and gets past for P9. Let's see what he can do with the slipstream. He's running lower downforce, it looks like. He goes to the right-hand side of turn number 1, and he's going to get past for now. But I think what Marsa is doing is wanting to get the move in towards turn 4. So what Miganov's going to do is try and pull away from the two of them. But there is Thomas Smit, who is trying to go for moves after moves, and he's up into 10th place. I'm a bit confused as Smith usually runs a blue livery, but he's not this week. That's why I was a bit confused. Hang on, is it Smith? But yes, it is. Yeah, he's up to 10th now, starting from 20th on the grid.
I think it's celebratory because of Super Venturing having wrapped up both championships. So they've decorated all the bits of the car that usually be blue are now decked in a sort of silvery green. I guess
That's
kind of
nice.
Brazilian livery. Yeah, it's lovely, but it's certainly disorientating, like you say. Now, I think really Ivanov, having lost a bit of time to Viscott, was sort of backing Massa into Miganov and Smith there. And Miganov on the medium was able to get through, and Smith, Cannelly was able to follow through there. Now it's going to be Brandfalm's turn. He's going to get a chance to use the DRS here. Down the main straight, he's going to go to the outside, as Smith himself is already focused back on the rear gearbox of Samuel Ivanov. And it looks like Brandfalm is through. Oh, up the inside from Smith. That was a late braking maneuver and a half if I've ever seen one. And he's got to make sure he doesn't get himself offline. Exit, a little bit of dust kicked up on the inside of the curb there. So he's not dealt with Miganov just yet there. As we see Harvick now starting to close on Single, who is now 3.6 seconds behind Maggio.
That's why Smith is a champion. He likes to go for late moves like that. He could be last at the late breakers, but definitely he wants to make his way up the field. And the more place you gain, the more points you gain. And even though he's wrapped up the championship, he wants to set a record for himself in terms of points. And he can actually win this if the top three have a little bit of a squabble, which at the moment, as it stands, Maggio is still the fastest, but we are starting to see the likes of Harvick starting to get a bit faster. And who was that? Who's just
on the
spun?
loser racing cars, it might be Dylan Allen then, I think, who's a new driver. Just at the very back of the field, getting the middle sector completely crossed up there, but he's collected himself up into Maguglia. He approaches, and looks like he's a little bit down on everyone else in the field. 7.9 seconds behind Gerard Battala, and on the harder tyres as well. But look at this. Harvick is really woken up in this race. And this is going to be music to Maggio's ears, hearing that Harvick and Single are starting to fight, because that means he can just extend that gap yet further. Scott Flack, too. He's broken a few seconds ahead of Peter Knapp, so he thinks he can get involved in this podium fight, too. And I'll be interested to see the progress of Smith, whether Scott Flack can help him out here later in the race.
That is an interesting predicament, even though they are both on the hard compound, the tyres, but even on tyres could start to die soon. I think Smith may wait, but he can't. He can't, because otherwise everyone else will start to increase their gap to him, and it will make things even more difficult for Smith to get past. So he's going to hope maybe that everyone else around him does a 2-stop, and he could try and potentially do a 1-stop. But it does depend on the tyre degradation. 39.2, by the way, track temperature, 21.9 ambient temperature. So it's not too bad, but it could be worse. In some other tracks it was less than that as well, but we can see Smith trying to go for a move before the DRS zone and past the pit straight, heading towards down the hill and towards turn number 1. As we can see Miganov as well, almost getting boxed in. Side by side they go. Oh, Miganov's had a moment.
And Brandfalm too as well.
Both from Team Valet and both fighting for P2 in the team's championship. That's not what you want to scramble with your teammates, but that's allowing Smith to say, thank you very much, there's my P8 now.
Yeah, but really, Miganov and Brandfalm, they're fighting with Knapp and Silviera, essentially. And Maggio, of course, winning is going to help them already, but as long as they can get close to the back of the Royal Blues, that's really going to help Valet hold on to second in the team's table. But Harvick, meanwhile, continues to really harry. And this is not just a battle for second in the race, but for potentially second in the team's championship as well, because remember, Harvick is ahead of a Single by, 1 point. So really, there's very, very little to choose between these two, the way this season has played out. Harvick, the more consistent, Single has now and again been able to really unlock some impressive turns of speed and shown some great tyre saving across the season as well. But Harvick now, he's starting to match him. And this the young Dane for the independent racing room team, he hasn't really got a whole group of people behind him giving him any hints. He's done a lot of this season all on his own, and it's been very, very impressive to say the least. But here we go.
He's going to go for a move it towards turn number 4. No, he backs off a little bit, and I think a lot of teams will be looking at Matthias Harvick with interest, ready for next season, because if he can do all of this on his own, imagine what he would do in a team environment when he's got certain drivers around him helping him and stuff. And that could be even better for him as well, or maybe he just prefers to be in an independent environment. But if he wants to be in a team, he's definitely showing it currently as well. As I was saying in the preamble before we went to a race, he's definitely one to look out for in this race, and I think he's done a lot more tyre saving than Single currently, because even though he's slower, he is closing in a little bit, so I assume he's going to be faster than him this lap. So we'll wait for both of them to cross the line, as we can also see Peter Knapp trying to close in onto Scott Flack coming up soon as well. And we also got Smith fighting once again with Ivanov and Miganov, but here comes Miganov trying to get past Ivanov on a set of the medium tyres. Both of them weren't expecting to be there. I think Ivanov has gone into the pit lane. Yes, he has. So he's doing one of his first stops. I assume it'll be 2 stops for the driver in his car. And
That's Single defending from Matthias Harvig there. Just swooping around the outside. So Harvig had a little sniff on the inside into turn 4. But Single, I think he's a little bit too wise to that one. And so you see how much time, by the way, Miganov has lost to Thomas Smith. 3 seconds now, even now that Ivanov is a pit from in front of him. And he's going to have to hope that he and Branfeld can drag themselves back to the back of the Super Venturi once they catch up to Viscott, who might start holding them up. But there's still a few seconds to go. We're on lap 12 of 43, and we've seen a couple of the medium runners make their early pit stops. Maggio might not be too far away from his first stop as well, and that could make this battle between Single and Harvig for the lead on the road.
It could be even more crucial as well, because this could be the battle. He wants to overstretch his mediums a little bit, so maybe he wants that one stop to work potentially in that car, and if he could do it, he could be on for his best result. But he can't afford to stay out too long, because the operating window for the hards, we could see, I think, Harvig trying to go up left-hand side in towards 10 number 14 at a Largo, and he gets the move done on his fan Single, and he's up into second place. He is a man on a mission today. I know that the championship's been decided, but he still want to go for second position, and with one of their rivals out of the picture, it's between them and Single. Harvig pretty much is the underdog in this, but he's showing that he doesn't want to be the underdog, and he's ahead of Single.
Yeah, there we go. You saw he was very, very patient, actually, behind Single. Not going for marginal moves to the lap before or the one before that, but just waiting for the great run out of the center S into Sabino Delago, like you say, where he was able to get the move down about halfway down the straight with the help of DRS as well. Harvig, he'll be hoping to hold on to that second position. Single, I think, will be trying to regroup, because he knows also in the team's championship, that's another place that Ground Effect have lost here. And with Viscott down in 7th, Massa down in 11th, so they are behind some of the Royal Blues, and also their second drivers behind the Valets as well, so a third driver, I should say. But so it's interesting look in the team's championship. We'll have to do the maths afterwards, but at the moment, Maggio looking very, very confident indeed, and now he's got to keep Harvig at bay behind him to the tune of 5.5 seconds, whereas Single has now dropped to 6.8 seconds. So Ground Effect, I think, really struggling for tyre life at this phase.
Yes, but meanwhile, the guys at Valet doing a great job, because he's got Brandon and Miganov in the top 10. All Miganov carrying a bit of gravel on the exit of turn 4 there, which is not going to help Brandon behind. And I think Brandon's got the better tyre life than Miganov, and you might be right that the medium tyres may start to fade a little bit, but you will start to see the gap come down quite considerably from Harvig to Maggio. And as I was saying, good timing. He was about 4 tenths quicker. Actually, no, he was about 3 tenths quicker Maggio than Harvig on that lap, but Harvig gained, I think, all that time in the final sector that, like, on his lap, and then in the first sector he sort of kind of lost it again. But we'll see what these two drivers can do for Valet in the team's championship, of course.
Yeah, Branfarm looking very, very menacing as he goes on the long run up from John Chow up to the start-finish line. The DRS is going to be wide open, and Miganov leaves plenty of room on the outside then. And Branfarm is through into 9th position now, 17 seconds down on the leader. Somebody kicks up some dust ahead of him. Was that Smith just pushing for all he's worth to try and catch Lucas Viscott?
Yeah, I think I've seen quite a lot of drivers, I think, carrying a bit of dust, I think, or gravel tonight in Brazil, which is, I think, quite common. But let's hope they don't do that, because it's going to hinder their tyre performance in our Factor 2. By the way, this race has gone very, very quickly so far, which is amazing. But I think there's certain drivers that just want to be a bit patient for the time being, and there's some drivers that just want to get the moves done ASAP. By the way, 6/10 quicker last lap was Matthias Harvig. That just shows the tyre life on those mediums is starting to fade away. So if I was the likes of Maggio and also Miganov, who's still on those mediums, and also Jared Batala, who I believe is on old mediums too, if I was them, I would come in next lap or the lap after, because otherwise it's going to start to degrade even more.
Yeah, so Harvick is just going to continue to close, and this is the tricky part for Maggio, because he's got to decide, does he extend this and try to one stop, or does he put in an extra stop in his strategy and do something a bit risky, like he tried to do at Suzuka, like he did successfully at Monza as well, to get onto the podium, although it wasn't intentional because he lost his front wing in the first stint after about 9 laps and had to sort of do an extra stop on the hard tyre and then pit at the end for soft tyres. But here we go, Viscott has actually caught himself to the back of the 2 Royal Blues of Silviera and Peter Knapp. This is going to get very interesting indeed.
This will be at the moment, and I think Single is wheeling Scott Flack in. I think it looks like he's increasing the gap, but Biscott is trying to get past the Royal Blue cars as well. So it's going to get even more and more intense for the teams that are still in the fight for the Teams Championship, and the ones that are not, maybe they could play a little bit of games potentially, which technically cannot be allowed, but they're at least going to have a little bit of fun while they're doing it currently. Who's the fastest lap currently on track? Is it still it is still Maggio, I think, who's on 111.9, but he's not the fastest on track right now. Vizinchik, 113.1 he's just set at the moment. Fastest guy out of anyone so far in the last couple of laps. And
well,
Maggio's dropped to the 114s. Maggio's dropped to the 114s. The only one to do so in the top, I would say, 10. So he is struggling out there. 3.5 is the gap. No, it's about 2.9 seconds now between Maggio and Harvick. So I think Harvick could... what would he do? Would he wait until Maggio pits? Or if he has the opportunity, would he get him on track?
Well, surely he's got to go for it, because he cannot... he knows Maggio is going to pit sooner or later at some point to get off of those mediums. So he's got to really take advantage in this stint, because the hard tyres are going to be running long. The only thing is he really doesn't want to end up getting into a battle with Maggio, because that could drag Single back in, and that could put Harvick in a really, really tricky position in terms of an on-track position. But in terms of, we've got to think about how this race is going to filter out. And there we go. Maggio goes into the pit lane, and everything I've been saying has suddenly become irrelevant.
Yeah. I think Maggio has realised that the gap was starting to come down quite significantly, and if he was going to stay out even more, then he was going to get past. So he would rather get past on track, or in the pits, rather than on track, because we don't want any more incidents like we saw in Japan, and he almost hit the sausage curb there. And you can see he's going to have everyone undercutting him quite massively, out of the ones who have just pitted onto the hard compound tyres. And that's going to cost him quite a bit of time.
I don't think he has been undercut, Jess. These are all people who started on the hards.
Oh, so those were the ones that started on the hards. Has Miganov stayed out as well?
Yeah, Miganov has stayed out on the mediums. He's
that's very confusing. It's hard to tell who stayed out and who hasn't, but I did see someone come into the box.
Yeah, so here comes Maggio then. Yeah, so that's Andrew Harris in the Royal Blue, starting to hold him up. So on those fresh hard tyres, he cannot afford to lose time at the rear of this train. Of course, when he catches to Miganov probably won't fight him too hard. Branfom neither, but Miganov's probably coming in himself, so he will get a free position there. But he needs to get a good run here through Jun Chao. Andrew Harris is going to get DRS from the back of Luxak as well. But here we go. Maggio gets a good run. Needs to make sure he doesn't trip up here. Luxak makes the move on Miganov, and is that Miganov going into the pit lane there. Here comes Maggio around the outside of the Royal Blue of Thomas Andrew Harriser, and that's through into 11th.
As he changes onto a set of the hard compound of tyres as well, hopefully he wants to aim those until the end of the race, and his next target for Maggio is Master, who's around about 2.2 seconds behind right now, but as long as he can start to close in, then the ones on the hards may feel a bit vulnerable at this stage, but the ones who were on the hards managed to stretch it out for as long as they did, so that it's given him a good benchmark for Maggio to follow currently, right now, and he's starting to get back the pace that we've known and loved as well. But maybe if he would have pitted earlier, he probably would have gained a bit more time. But that's probably why he's gone from the started on the mediums to get that early undercut and stretch out as long as needed, of course.
Oh, Harvick pits from the lead.
Harvick pits from the lead. Now, surely that's going to be a two-stop ahead.
Yeah, you would think the hard times would be able to go more than 20 laps. So this is Harvick trying to respond to Maggio. Make sure he doesn't escape too far. Drifts into his pit box, just about gets in. So the mechanics all have to go diagonally, I guess, to put those new tyres on. He puts on a set of mediums then. So yeah, you're right, Jess. This is definitely a two-stop from Racing Room and Matthias Harvick then. He's going to merge behind Andrea Marizoa then. So there's a big gap in front of Ivanov for all these guys to pit into, and that's why we're seeing them pit at this phase, because they don't want Ivanov to close in the pit window. Look at the amount of track behind him as well. That's surely ground effect are going to respond to this, surely, with Single.
I think Single has to, because otherwise the time is going to be just lost and found, really. I know there'll be some people that will be trying the one stop, like the Smith. He just wants to see if he can get his tyres to the end, but they probably have done a bit of research into the tyre degradation, and it's still quite hot. So if it was a bit cooler around Brazil, probably a one-stop would have been possible. But since it's quite hot, then maybe they might be forced into a two-stop, which questions me about what Single, Scott Flack, Peter Knapp, Silveira is going to be doing later on in the race.
Peter Knapp on
As we've
Scott
got Peter
Flack.
Knapp on Scott Flack, it looks like. Scott Flack.
Oh!
As they made contact. And Scott Flack has had the biggest share of bad luck this season, and his bad luck continues in interlog. Oh, careful! There we go. He's back on the track.
He didn't get taken out by Brandfarm there. But yeah, Scott Flack just got the S's wrong, and I think Peter Knapp just couldn't avoid him in time there. That was just a really unfortunate incident from the pair, though. I don't think there was a... I wouldn't blame Peter Knapp too much. Just
No.
really unfortunate timing there. But Knapp was challenging him. Let's see the replay, Jess.
Yeah, so I think it's the same as our
Oh, there
stop
we
that
go.
we saw, and it's hard to tell from the angle whose fault it was.
Yeah, to me, it looks like Flack is already getting out of shape, especially from the onboard from Peter. And then Peter is desperately trying to avoid, because he tried to go a little bit to the right, but it's not enough in time, so he tags the rear wheel around.
Yeah, hopefully... Oh!
That's
Is
Luxac off track, and Harvick up into the top 10, so he's cleared Andrea Marizoa and Luxac in quick succession there. Maggio, though, he's cleared Massa the previous lap, so he's gotten rid of his demons from Suzuka, because remember, he crashed into Massa. And now Maggio is right behind the recovering Scott Flack. But Harvick, he's only about 5 seconds down the road from them, so he certainly can't rule out Harvick battling for the win here on those mediums, whereas Maggio on the hards.
And I think this is how Harvick did it, so let's get the onboard shot from him.
Oh.
And that was a late move, and he made a bit of contact as well, so I wonder if he forced the car off the track, or maybe one car went out of shape. But again, it's not up to us, of course, in the broadcast. It's up to the stewards, but Harvick is up a place anyway, and he's doing a terrific job to do so. And maybe he can fight for the win. You never know, but Single still leads 2.5 seconds over Peter Knapp in second. And by the way, Smith is up into 5th place right now, but there's still quite a lot of drivers still yet to box. I believe top 8 still yet to box.
Yeah, and Scott Flack has seen Maggio overtake him as well. As they're through past Viscott goes goes Matthias Harvick into the top 9 then. So Maggio just absolutely on a move. Brandfarm is surely about to move out the way here. So this is really going Maggio's way so far. Single having not pit, I think you're right, Jess. He must be committing to a one-stop here. And I think Peter Knapp, Viscott, Silveira might be doing the same along with Thomas Smith as well.
Yeah, because otherwise there would be no point due to the massive undercut as well. And they may want to get their mediums pretty much in the operating window as quickly as they can, and they don't want to afford to pit unnecessarily as well. And it does depend on your tyre management as well. If your tyres can last this long and you can put up the consistent laps throughout, then stay out. But if you can't, some of the drivers maybe were forced to pit, like Maggio, for example. Maybe Maggio could be trying for one stop as well, and we will see how the pace compares to the likes of Single that were on the hards earlier on. So here comes Matthias Harvig, same spot, but this time I think the ground effect car, it looked like he went a bit too deep there. So Harvig again up into ninth. He's going to try and get past Scott Flat in about 3 seconds time. So he doesn't have that much to catch up. And actually, he's probably less than that now as he's getting a little bit of slipstream at the moment. I wonder if it's a laps car or if it is Scott Flack.
Yeah, Peter Knapp and Silviera in. That is a royal blue that they're lapping. I think that's Jared Batala being lapped then.
Yeah, it is.
But Peter Knapp and Silviera are both pitting here on lap 24, so that is going to put them into that gap in front of Samuel Ivanov then, but behind their teammate Greg Luxak. So that's an interesting call there, because they're sort of in no man's land strategically, and this is good news for Valle then, because suddenly they've got 2 cars ahead of all the Royal Blues.
Yes, and you don't want to be in that position, especially with the championship finale as well. And I know there'll be more teams working together in this race more than ever if they want to get higher up in the championship. And even though some people care about the Drivers' Championship, the teams do care about the Teams' Championship because it's their reputation on the line as well. And obviously the drivers are looking to potentially get some seats maybe in a high division next season, or to stamp their authority in Academy next season as well. As Harvick now on the back of Scott Flat, he's gained I think about 1.5 seconds on this lap, which shows how fast the medians for the time being, and Single is in the box.
Yeah, and Branfeld and Scott Flack following him in then. So Single relinquishes the lead. This puts Maggio back up to third, just 3.2 seconds behind. Oh, and that looks like Batala just getting the pit entry all wrong there, giving the pit wall a lovely brush. But it's not a paintbrush, it's a car, unfortunately, so that's not going to do it any good. But look at this. Smith now 3 tenths behind Lucas Viscott for the lead. So let's see if Thomas Smith has kept his hards in better nick from the start of the race down. Lucas Viscott and the ground effect, and look through there uphill. Absolutely struggling on that ground effect. It looks like he is heading for the pit lane before too long. And Maggio is rapidly catching both of them because he's been lapping in the low 112s. These guys in the 114s for Viscott, 113.6 for Thomas Smith, sorry.
Yeah, Thomas Smith is now wheeling Viscott in for P1 currently. Oh, that was almost a late lunge from Smith. I did say he was one of the last of the late breakers once again, but past Jungsat in towards the start-finish straight then. In towards turn 1, past turn 15.
They're going to the inside.
Entry. Oh, they both come in.
Yeah, there we go. So that means Maggio retakes the lead as they go side by side.
In the pit lane.
Going to be awkward for Viscott. He's got to turn into his box right across Smith, and Smith sensibly backs out there.
Yeah, it's not the first time I saw it happening. I've been a victim of that on previous F1 games actually, but I found it quite funny, so that's why I brushed it under the carpet.
Oh!
Someone's off. That's one of the ground effect cars. Is that Single?
It is Single. Single's cut the center S's there, and that means Luxak is going to get a run on him. That's not what Istvan Single wanted at all. 15 seconds behind Maggio and 10 seconds behind Matthias Harvig then. So not only staying out, he's lost a lot of time, but also first lap out on the mediums. He's just locked up, I think, into the first corner. But luckily, he's got it under control now and is free to chase Andrew Marizawa as Migadov now all over the back of Ivanov. And Ivanov has got no grip on the exit of turn 4 there.
Maybe it looked like for Single, it just took a while for his tyres to warm up, and now his tyres are going to be cooked for him having a moment like that. So that's a way to warm your tyres up here in Brazil.
Certainly, but at 40-degree tyre temperature, track temperature, you wouldn't think it'd be too big an issue. Peter Knapp sets fastest lap there. He's 1:11.8 on the medium, so he's now 3.5 seconds behind his sister team, Luxak. I keep saying teammate, but RBL Biltamiva are not really same team on the team's chart.
And Knapp trying to go for a move. That is very early on the straight as well. I thought he was going to get the move done a lot later than that, because don't forget there's going to be a huge toe in the start of the straight. But no, Knapp timed that perfectly. He's up into 6th spot. He's also gained some DRS in the process as well. And now he's going to try and get past his other Royal Blue teammate in the process too. Or was it someone else?
Silviera's jumped Peter Knapp after that pit stop phase. And Andrew Marizawa stayed out.
That probably explains it. But I think he got past Let's watch singles. I think it was singles moment earlier on,
This is single passing Andrew Marizo for third, I think. There we go. So up the inside into turn one. And does he lose? No, this is him. This is him on the lap that's just been completed then. So he's literally just done this.
He's in third at the moment. He's
So
in third at the moment.
the mistake happened earlier. Yeah.
9 seconds, by the way, between this Van Single and Matthias Harvig.
Yeah. So it is starting to hot up. I think Single might, having pit as late as he might have a chance of catching Harvig, because I think Harvig maybe didn't get, unless he's doing another stop, he didn't really get the hards to last as long as he probably might have done, like Single did. And there we go. Silveira has got past Andrew Marizo for fourth. And the thing is now, the likes of Smith, Viscott, Miganov, and Bramfom are going to start chewing their way through the top 10 runners here. So I wouldn't rule out Thomas Smith for P4 here. And there we go. Andrew Marizo pits. And here comes Bramfom around the outside of Ivanov for 10th position.
Well, he's not going to give it up that easy as he cuts to the inside as Brantholm is in 9th spot, whereas Ivanov stays in 10th. But you would expect Brantholm to get past on those mediums anyway as well. The ones on the hard shocking a little bit, but bearing in mind the mediums are not going to be lasting forever. The ones on those hards are going to probably be a bit patient and get some moves done right towards the end of the race, which is not that far off yet. Still some dust being kicked off from some of the other drivers. Scott Flack is back in the mix as he tries to get past Ivanov for 10th spot, and still going to get some points, but surely he would have wanted more points because he was running in the top 5, but he had that spin earlier on, which was a bit of a shame. He was very, very unlucky indeed. Has about 5.2 seconds now as a gap between Maggio and Harvick currently, and it looks like there's some parts of the track where Maggio is faster, and there's some parts where Harvick is quicker, because it seems to be jumping from 5 seconds to 4 seconds, from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. Yeah,
someone who's really lighting up the time screens now is Thomas Smith in 6th, a 1:11.772. That's the fastest lap of the race. He's closing on the back of Peter Knapp and Romulo Silveira, who are just a second apart. He's just 2 seconds behind them. Like you say, Maggio continuing to slightly pull away from Harvick. So the tyre delta is Maggio's on 11-lap-old hard tyres. Harvick on 9-lap-old mediums. Single on 4-lap-old mediums there. So it could not be a bigger contrast between them there. But Single really ruled that mistake into turn 1, because that would have cost him at least a second there, I would suggest, with the straight line speed he lost. But yeah, Thomas Smith is definitely going to be the man on the move in this stint. And Single, it's really going to take something very, very special to coast up to the back of Harvick and Maggio. But Maggio, so far in this race, I have to say, has not put a foot wrong.
Nope, he hasn't. I think there's quite a lot of drivers that haven't put a foot wrong either, and I think Maggio is keeping the gap quite big at the moment. And if he could keep doing that and manage his tyres effectively, he could win this race. But ignore that for the time being as Brunholm gets past Miganov for P9. I don't think Miganov was going to challenge him at this stage, because Miganov could get a bit of a toe and slipstream heading towards turn number 1. Does he look left or right? He's not going for it.
Yeah, Miganov just had a terrible exit from Jen Caldes on 10-lap-old hard tyres, as well as you see Ivanov finally make his second pit stop there. So that was overdue. 13 laps to go then. And Maggio, his lead over Matthias Harvick, 5.1 seconds then. Another 2 tenths gained by Maggio on that lap. Single, though, is lapping comparably to Harvick, actually, 1:12.7. So he's not really gaining that much, 8.7 seconds behind him. And then we got Silveira, Peter Knapp, and Smith, who continues to close on the pair of them, although he was only a couple of tenths quicker this lap, rather than 7 or 6 tenths quicker, like he was when he was setting fastest lap of the race. But yeah, Maggio has got the beautiful side of this clean open road ahead of him, and if he can nurse these hards to the end without being caught by Harvick, without making any mistakes, then the win could be his. But he won't be thinking about that just yet. He's just got to focus on staying in the rhythm, doing the job that needs to be done, and hoping that Harvick and Single just don't catch him before the end. And there is Harvick, you can just about see in the background there, going through turn 2.
This is redemption for Maggio. He got very unlucky in Suzuka. He got a podium as well in Monza. He's pretty much had an up and down races at the moment. Mostly down, but towards the end he picked up his form up a little bit. But if he could show that he can win races, then that could be amazing for his future career at Formula Sim Racing. And with Harvick, I think, a star of the future as well, looking to be picked up by a team. he's not worried at the moment about his main rivals because they've got quite a big gap behind. I think Harvig's tyres, with him pitting a lot earlier than everybody else, is starting to wear off quite considerably. The gap's now 6 seconds, so I wonder if Harvig's going to think about pitting very soon for another set of those mediums, because otherwise it's going to start to fade away quite considerably. And, oh, has Maggio made a bit of a mistake? So I swear the gap was 6 seconds. Harvig's in.
There we go, and Viscott actually set the fastest lap last time around and was set a purple first sector as well, so he's been absolutely flying. 1:11.6, 3 tenths quicker than Thomas Smith. But Harvig, as you suggested, Jess, he seemed to be making all the right predictions. And again, he slides into the pit box there. Is that just a stylish turn there, or is that genuinely the fastest way in? I'm not quite sure. But Harvig then is going to emerge.
That's why we're in the box.
Yep, he's going to emerge, I think, behind Miganov then, in 9th position here. There goes Daniel Miganov. It's going to be close. Oh, the rear engine actually smoking a bit at the rear, and Harvig is going to emerge just behind on the mediums then. So Matthias Harvig, we're going to see an overtaking show as he tries to get back towards the podium.
I don't think he's going to get the win, but he definitely wants to get into the top 3, which is still possible. And the gap between the top is about 10 seconds, so he's got like a few cars to do so to get that, but he's going to be on the fresher tyre compared to everybody else. And towards the end, the memes that have been on since, I think, lap 22 is going to start to die. So Harvey's going to have the ride of his life for these final 10 laps of this race. It's been a great season so far for a lot of these guys. To be honest, I have to say, though, the cleanest turn 1 from Academy that I've seen ever. As Harvey going for a late lunge. I think that might have been too early, though. If you think about it, in through turn 15, it looks like Miganov could go for the move once again into turn 1. No. But yeah, I was going to point out earlier, I completely forgot. Yeah, turn 1 in Academy was probably the cleanest I've seen all season, which was a miracle.
Yeah, certainly. There were some good moves, actually. Peter Knapp going around the outside of Smith was certainly a highlight. But yeah, Maggio controlled that start perfectly, and he's controlled the strategy perfectly. Now he's got a 12-second lead over Istvan Single. Here is Smith. He's caught up to the back of Peter Knapp now, well and truly, and Knapp may have to get defensive here. And the problem is all of these guys are going to start being caught by Harvig, of course, who is faster than them in the first sector, and he's closing 2.1 seconds behind Dano Bramfon. The problem is Bramfon's got a 7-second gap to this pack here. So Harvig, once he gets into that clear air, he's going to absolutely have to push, and he won't be getting the DRS like these guys are off of one another. Here's Harvig then, closing on the back of Dan Ove Brandfon.
It would help my mic wasn't on mute, was it?
Yeah, I thought you were just pausing for dramatic effect there.
No, I wasn't pausing for dramatic effect. I just forgot I had my mic on mute. But as I was saying, whilst I thought I wasn't on mute, Harvig was trying to get past Brandholm for 7th place, but doesn't look like he's going to do it yet. But he could do it now. He's got a lovely toe, by the way, and he's got great entry speed in past CNRS, through into turn 4 to see the Largo, and he's already up into 7th position.
Oh, and
7th.
Smith is through on Peter Knapp as well for 4th place.
Up to 4th place goes Thomas Smith then, so he could still be on for 2nd place in this race.
Potentially, yeah, depending on how well he's kept these mediums alive. Silviera's been on him 2 more laps. Single has been on him only 1 more lap than him, and he's got a bit of a gap to them with 2 seconds ahead. But here we go, Silviera making a mistake and falling off track there.
Oh, that I think was a bit risky from him so far, but we are starting to see more moves being made. Silviera, let's look at that replay of how he did it.
Oh, he just
lost it.
On the exit of that hairpin towards Mergulio, and big jump there as well. He's found a launching pad there for the Royal Blue. Luckily, it's all in one piece, but Silviera, he'll be ruining that. There was a great chance of a podium there. Now it's Thomas Smith back on the podium, as here comes Scott Flack up the inside of Miganov for 9th position. As Harvig, he set fast enough the race previous lap round, was a 1:11.305. He set 1:11.370, purple middle sector there, as he's now only 3.4 behind Silviera then. So he can clear Silviera quickly, then it's going to be rapidly on the back of Viscott, Knapp and Smith.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, due to that massive gap between Maggio and everybody else, I don't think the win is going to be any one of theirs, because even in Maggio pits, if he's going to be on fresh tyres, he's going to get past them anyway. So he's even trying to increase that gap. So if he wants to pit, he's going to come out ahead anyway, which I think is huge.
Yeah, it always seemed like an aggressive strategy from Harvey to pit early, but I reckon he just feels really comfortable on the fresh tyres and thinks, I can make the moves here, that I'm not going to end up being stuck behind anyone for too long, that it's worth making the extra stop rather than just staying out in second and being stuck behind Maggio.
Yeah, and I always thought that him pitting when he did was a bit too early, but to be honest, it is the last race of the season. But he does realise that there's seconds that could be potentially still up for grabs, and at the moment this could go to Isvan Single. But to be honest, the final half, the latter half of the season for him, for Harvick, has been absolutely fantastic, and he's going to try and get past Silviera for P6 currently.
Yeah, 1:11.222. So he's reducing that the time constantly each lap, and Silviera I think is going to be only in sixth for a very, very short period here, because Harvick is just swarming all over the back of him and looking to take advantage here. So Romulo Silviera will have to get somewhat defensive here in the middle sector, make sure he doesn't leave a gap open here, but I think the best of those mediums are behind him.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? But it's a bit of a shame, but at least he's giving it a good go. But we on for the final few laps of Formula Sim Racing Academy for this season, and it's definitely flown by. Maggio still leads. I think usually people think, oh, you're leading, you're going to just relax. There's no reason to relax. Oh my goodness, that was, I think, very close there, as there wasn't much room left from between the two of them. But Harvey gets past Silviera up into sixth place. People may think, oh, you could just plain sailing at the front. No, you're probably even more nervous because you've got to be worried about the fuel. It's pretty much for Maggio a race against himself at this point.
Yes, exactly. There are so many things that can go wrong, as Maggio has found out several times this season, being eliminated in crashes on the first lap. Like, I think he had 4 or 5 races in a row where that happened to him. But the last couple, he's really been able to show his pace. And now, finally, it may reward him with a win at the end of the season, which will be a big, big consolation after some difficult periods in this season. But there is Smith, though. He's gone from near the very back of the grid to third, having jumped Peter Knapp. And now he's actually starting to close on Singler. But he does have a lap fresher medium tyres, which it may not sound like a lot, but it does make a little bit of a difference. And no Smith's pace here. And after what happened last time at Suzuka, I think he'd be desperate to make a clean pass here on Single. But he also knows Harvick is catching them constantly. He's only 3 seconds now behind Lucas Viscott. So they can't afford to be held up by one another. If he's going to go for second, it's got to be soon then. Lap 38 of 43 then, started by Maggio.
Yes, Maggio, I think, knows that he's going to potentially winning at this point, but he's just got to make sure that his tyres can get to the end, and he can do a bit of tyre saving because he knows that the gap is quite at a decent amount currently as well. Pataya, fair play to him in 15th spot, still not giving up on those hard tyres, and still I think going to get a few points in this race.
Oh, certainly. That's going to help Rob a little bit in the team's championship, but I think with Valet winning, they really would have needed Peter Knapp and Silviera in third and fourth, unfortunately, to really make a difference. Ground effect, though, good recovery by them. Viscott holding on to fifth, but unfortunately Harvick is closing on him, so he may not be able to hold it for too much longer, as Andrea Marizoa also closes on Massa for 11th. Great to see the Madagascan really challenging for a position just outside the top 10 in the dying laps of the race then. He's another driver who's had a bit of a learning curve himself, but it's improved at this phase of the season from where he started.
Yeah, massive improvement as well. And I have to say, I'm looking at his results recently, and Knapp has been, I think, more consistent. He's been improving race after race, and sometimes you want to see that. When you start a season, you set a benchmark for yourself, and if you can improve your form as the season goes on, you would say you've had a good season. And Knapp, Andrea Harris is going to try and get past the Royal Blue car.
That's Massa being overtaken, and Massa locks up and hits the back of Andrea Marizoa. And the Madagascan spins, and Massa has lost his front wing there. So there we go. It was a great move from Andrea Marizoa, but being taken out of that up to 11th there, and that was, I have to say, a little bit of a clumsy lock up there from Massa. And Andrew Merzo, I think, was blameless there.
Yeah, I think let's just look at the onboard shot from Marsa. Yeah, he hit the car in front of him. It looked like it was definitely his fault. That could be position penalty, and he almost hit the car that was coming past him as well. So luckily that car had the right to avoid them, and they did. So there we go. But we've got 4 more laps to go. Smith, by the way, has got DRS on Istvan Single. He's caught up to the back of him.
He has, yes, and Harvig is all over the back of Viscott as well. Viscott has really started to fight back in the last couple of laps to Harvig, but now Harvig is well and truly upon him. He's going to start getting advantage of DRS. But as you say, just 6/10 between Smith and Single in that battle for second then. And of course, it won't affect Single in the Drivers' Championship, but in the Teams' Championship, grand effect, especially with Marsa having that mistake there. Viscott and Single need to score as many points as they can to try and fight back against Valet, but it may be too late as Viscott is a lovely little drift there, but that's not going to help his rear tyres one little bit in his fight against Peter Knapp or Harvig behind him.
Yeah, if they keep squabbling like that, then Single's going to be like, thank you very much, I can increase that gap to second place, and that could be second place in the championship. So, with the likes of Single, maybe Viscott is helping Single currently by doing this. So, that could be tactical team plays from the ground effect guys, which I have to say is very well done as they're past Jung Sao and then in towards the start-finish straight.
Yeah, here we go. Harvey's got a beautiful run here, and he's going to go on the inside like he did before. Yes, he is then. So the ground effect moves to the outside. They both get DRS off the back of Peter Knapp. Harvick has to brake late into the center S. Oh, Viscott slides it, and Harvick is through into 5th position, and now Peter Knapp is the next target then. It's going to be back up to 4th for Harvick, surely by the end of this. But there is Smith trying to make the move on Single up ahead as round the outside goes Matthias Harvick, and Knapp defends into turn 4.
Oh, it's a bit of a love tap between the two of them as Harvey trying to claim 4th place round the outside in towards turn 5 and 6. There we go. That was almost off the track from Harvey, but there he is up into a potential fight for the podium position soon as well. But Thomas Smith gets past Single up to 2nd. His fight for P1 is over, but from last on the grid to 2nd, that's still some deep the Academy graduate, as I think we could potentially see that move that Smith done earlier. Yes, we can actually. That was good timing. So he's past turn 4, in towards turn 5 now, and he had the fresher grip.
Exactly what we saw Harvick do.
Exactly, that was absolutely brilliant from Smith. He's like, never mind me, I'm the champion, but I'm still going to fight for it.
Yeah, and here's Scott Flack then, trying to overtake Silveira for 8th then. Scott Flack, he's got massive overspeed then as he goes around the outside and starts the penultimate lap then. Maggio is not far off starting the final lap, by the way. That's how short the lap is at Interlagos, just over a minute, of course. But there is Harvick then. He's going to try and throw everything he can, closing that 2-second gap to Single, and that is the battle for 2nd in the Drivers' Championship, let's not forget. So it could come down to the final lap. Single looked like he was really struggling there for grip against Thomas Smith. So Harvick, he's probably going to have one shot at this. Needs to make sure he doesn't stumble right at the end here.
I think Single is still going to be ahead of Harvick in the championship. So I think Harvick is going to hope either Smith or Single make a mistake for him to stand a good chance. I think that anything can happen, as Marsa, by the way, in the background is on soft tyres, so he's going to try and go the fastest lap overall, which won't mean much in terms of getting more points overall, but he'll just have a little bit of fun towards the end. There's 2 drivers lap down. Final lap of this race, Maggio still leads, and there's quite a few drivers that are managing to pull off the one stop quite effectively.
Here they are, but Harvick has certainly given them a run for their money, but you got to think he probably would have finished ahead of Smith if he'd been able to pull off the one stop, but maybe he didn't feel he had the life on the hards to be able to do that, and he just felt more comfortable on the mediums. But nonetheless, the gap to Single, it says he's right there, but agonizingly, I feel Harvick may just fall a little bit short here unless there's a mistake from Single then. But let's not forget Maggio as he comes to the end of the final lap then. What a fabulous drive he's put in. Nothing that anyone threw at him that could bother him really today, and it's really the redemption of his season I think we're seeing at the moment for Maggio, the Magic Man. Lock up from Single.
That was
and Harvick is going to be side by side Fumigulio here as they go towards Joan Chow. So he's going to have one run at the line. Maggio is about to win the race. And indeed, the Italian takes his first win in FSR Academy here. But the battle for third is still raging on. Harvick is right on the slipstream of Istvan Single. And he's going to pull to the inside. It's going to be a drag race to the line. The DRS wide open. Single defends. Harvick is alongside him. And Single is going to hold on to third and second in the Drivers' Championship. Harvick falls agonizingly short at the end, but what a fantastic race those two put on for us. And let's not forget this man, Maggio. He well and truly was the Magic Man today. I think he earned that title with his performance. And look at those donuts. He knows how much this means to him.
Especially after his pitfalls from a couple of weeks ago in Suzuka, where he got caught up in an incident. But after his podium in Monza about a month ago, we knew he was going to get the win somehow. The question is when, and well, we've already got that answer, and it's right here in Brazil in the championship finale. He got pole as well, and he managed the one stop effectively. And the
engine is detonating right when he ran out of it, and it looks like Smith's going to push him.
They're going to take the jump.
Smith's going to push him, and Smith's getting a face full of Inferno there. I imagine that's what it's like to walk on the surface of the sun. So we got
Get off the car!
That's going to ruin the beautiful Super Venturi livery as well. But there we go, confirmation then of the final results. Alessandro Maggio takes a fantastic victory for Valet eSports. Not only Valet's first win, but his win. I think he's the youngest winner in Academy history as well at just 60 years of age. Thomas Smith is going to finish second for Super Venturi, overtaking his fan Single right at the end, but Harvick fell just short of the podium, just short of second place in the Drivers' Championship, but Harvick will still take third in the Drivers' Championship, I believe, because he did get enough points to overcome Giuseppe Saracino. After winning in Suzuka, he puts in a solid drive to fifth, ahead of Lucas Viscott, who I think takes his best finish of the season. Dano Branford recovers to seventh from near the back after the first lap. Scott Flack, that mistake, demoting him down to eighth. Then it's Romulo Silveira and Daniel Miganoff in the very back of the grid to 10th. Then for Valet. Ruksak takes 11th for Build Sim RBR Evo. Then it's Thomas Andrium Harizoa down in 12th then after the late incident with Nandor Marsa. Samuel Ivanov finishes 13th and Marsa 14th. Then it is Gerard Batala, our last finisher, in 15th. Then it's the list of retirements. Mihailo Vincentovic for Loser Racing. Perseus Miram for Build Sim RBR Evo. Dylan Allen, we saw struggling really early on for Loser Racing. Roy Seifert, the Soul Sim Spark, failing to finish. And Sophie Jones, I don't think actually made it out of the pit lane, sadly, on the first lap. Or had a very, very short race. It did. So there we go. Impressive performance from Maggio, but it doesn't change, of course, the Drivers' Championship. It's still going to be Thomas Smith and Super Venturi that take both titles, and having them both together there at the end was a very appropriate image, I thought, despite Maggio's engine having completely detonated. But of course, he won, he didn't need it anymore. And I believe the upshot of this, Jess, is that Valet have held on to second in the Teams Championship from Ground Effect, with Royal Blue still third.
Yeah, so well done. I think Maggio needed this to help not just himself with his momentum and the whole team as well. So I think they should be very, very proud. And what a way to end Academy at this season. But it is not over. In about 20 minutes' time, we still got 2 more races to watch. We've got Pro on at 4:30, and we've got World Championship on at 6:30. So don't you dare tune out. We've got some great action to come your way, and I believe you're joined by Will in the Pro commentary box next, so it should be fun.
Definitely should be, Jess, and I certainly can't tune out because I'm doing the commentary, so Will, as you say. But there we go. That's our final race of the Academy season. Then Thomas Smith, our new champion, he's going to move on to Pro next season, but you can watch the Pro finale, as you say. In a few minutes' time, it's going to be a battle in the Teams Championship for first between Burst Esports and Royal Blue, the leaders there by 45 points. So they just need an 11th place to seal it then. So look forward to that. But congratulations once again to Alessandro Maggio, our winner here at Brazil in Interlagos. Thanks for watching. Thanks to you, Jess, and thanks to Antoni Nicpon in the broadcast. So thank you very much for watching Academy season with us. Tune in next season to see who's going to succeed Thomas Smith